He'll be on with us a little later. Parker down. Mickey's here. Jesse's here. Adam, you're here. Okay, cool. We do not have a quorum yet. All right, now I showed that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 voting members on, and it's going to, let me count that. Oh, well, goodness. We have 11 voting positions, and there are 6 people. Yes, 6 people online right now. That is a quorum for this meeting. We do have other people who do not vote. That is myself. There's Clay. He's in now, too.
Yeah.
So,
Hi, Clay.
anyways, okay, sounds good. I'll holler at you later.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so we do have a quorum. We do have 7 people of the 11 that are for voting. Myself, Kelsey, and Amanda do not vote. The only way that I vote is if there's a tie between you guys, and I have to break that tie. I've only ever seen that happen one time in the last year that I've been in this position. So you guys handle things handle it all yourself. Hopefully Gavin will come on.
He's here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Kurt,
on.
I think you.
Oh, I
Kurt,
see you,
think you
Gavin.
need
I'm
to
sorry.
go through them again
Let me
because
go
I see
through
a
them.
lot more on, so I can get them for the meeting minutes, please.
Sure.
I'd just recommend roll call, Kurt.
Okay. Here is a roll call. Kurt's here. Kelsey, you're here. Derek is on. I see Derek. Steve Foster's on. Mickey.
Yeah.
She's on. Amanda. She's not on. Clay is on. Adam is on. Nigel or William, you are on. Nathan is not. Parker is on. JC Christensen, JC, are you on? I do not see him on. Richard Sawyer is not on. Gavin is on and Jesse is on. Did I miss anybody at all? I don't think so, but we do have a quorum. And I want to make sure we are recording this.
We are.
Okay, I see that. Yep. Okay. Derek, good looking shirt there, I see. I want to welcome everybody to the new 2025-26 season as the USAW Kansas board. You are the executive board for wrestling in Kansas. That said, we do have some people that are brand new. We have 4 brand new board members. And I will start with Adam. Adam, I really appreciate your opportunity to serve on this board. I watched you as a coach at Fargo and at the state tournament and other places you've been. I really look forward to what you bring to the table and your leadership. Nathan's going to be coming on. I really think that he's going to do a bang-up job. He's come from so many different angles relative to wrestling. I mean, from the Coaches Association coaching at Barton Community College. I'm very pleased that we have him on the board and what he's bringing. Parker Howell is new too. He is our new coaches development safe sport, and I look forward to him. I heard nothing but great things, what he has done in the past relative to being a coach. I've heard family members and parents talk about him being in the corner for their kids. I welcome him in his new position, and he's definitely a stand-up guy, and look forward to his contributions to this organization too. And then Gavin, welcome yourself. I have nothing but the greatest respect for your family. I knew your dad well. The last time I ever talked to your dad, I was called in the state tournament, and he knew I had I was on a mat with a guy who was having difficulty all day, and he stopped me, asked me, he said, you doing all right? And I said, yeah, I'm doing all right. But that was the last time I ever got to talk to him. But what a great leader. And I will say this about too. His father was the youngest executive director Kansas ever had in the history of USA Kansas Wrestling. He started out committing himself to this organization when he was like 24, 25, was executive director. And no one's ever done that before. So Gavin, welcome you, and your family's got a great history and tradition with this organization. Any other comments? With that, we have an agenda. We're going to go over the clocks tonight. We're going to go over the parliamentarian position. And then I also had some miscellaneous things to go over as chairman on my notes. And with that, I will start, and let's go into if there's no rebuttal, let's go into the clocks. Anybody have any opposition to that? I'm going to start sharing my screen. This here is a report out that occurred at the state body meeting that we did not read. We will take a moment to go over that. There's a lot of good things in it. And then I have some follow-up to this and how we want to proceed. We are under the gun relative to getting this going. Tonight, we need to establish that we recognize we have a demand for clocks that's coming up very, very soon. We need to take a look at the custodians and the job description that's been put out there, and the structure that was put in place by the committee or suggested by the committee, that the custodians fall under the districts. They would be contract laborer. We do have, we talked about inventory and the inventory, itemizing it. We do have a website already set up for checkout that was done by William Isom, and everything going through the website, which is great. And we will stop and allow and let William share his screen and walk us through that. That said, I will go through this briefly, not everything in here, but this committee was formed and they spent a long time going through quite a bit of stuff. There were starts and stops and all kinds of things. I know because I was there and several other people were there too. And Kansas established that committee to investigate the past and ongoing issues relative to tracking 64 track wrestling clocks, 7 trailers, and invoicing special deals, logistics. I'm sure the people all across the board spent 80 hours plus going over the invoices, contacting clubs, high schools, colleges, going back over what the record showed and how things were recorded, and how, when we interviewed them, how those results turned out. The committee also met on a regular basis, almost weekly, and very true, it did. What they found was we had some missing invoices, timely invoices, very loose guidelines on the clock custodians, lack of oversight and follow-up, lack of tracking inventory, lack of timely payments, trade-offs, or special deals made by custodians, many unpaid invoices never received by the renters. In some instances, it appeared invoices were not sent in a timely manner or not even sent out at all. I will say that, not in defense, but there was not a lot of guidelines for these people who were doing the clock custodians, okay? And an awful lot of effort went in there to scheduling and driving and taking and meeting people, that people never recouped their time on several of the things that they were doing as custodians for us. And so I wanted to point that out, because we tend to forget about all the other things that these people were doing. And for $5.99, that's what we paid people to be custodians. It was kind of, there was a lot more to it. What we found: lack of timely invoices due to past and lack of oversight. It appears that favoritism has led to some special deals that had gone on. The current process for clock rentals has not been followed, and really there's not a lot to the processes that were defined. Then we scroll down a little more. It appears that one individual was in charge of invoicing. We have identified many instances where the invoices were not sent out in a timely manner. Additionally, many of these instances occurred due to lack of communication. General USA Wrestling has realized an average of $25,000 in revenue per year for clock rentals. It appears that in the best interest of USA Wrestling, we continue to do this clock. There is a demand out there for it, and we can't just stop doing it because people would not have the resources they need to do their tournaments. When you look at the data, 2/3 of all the requests that came in that we fulfilled for clocks went to the USDs, middle schools and high schools. About 1/3 went back to the clubs. So a lot of clubs and others in that category of bought their own clocks, things like that. So the demand was not just for clubs. In fact, the greatest was for the USDs and the schools. We have a new and efficient process to be established immediately. Clocks for our primary benefit of charter clubs first, and then high school. And well, we got them for our own state series tournaments, at the district level and at the state level, that we could host our own. But then what do you do with them while they're not being used at that time? Well, we got business renting them out. Our chartered clubs have first, and then high schools, and then colleges. What we recommended: gather all the state-owned inventory, clocks, trailers, track wrestling kits, cases, cables, computers, cords, and all the applicable inventory from the current custodians, and cease clock rentals immediately, but temporarily. Move all state-owned equipment to a central location where they can properly be inventoried and serialized with an identifiable number or code. Also make any necessary updates and repairs to the computers or clocks and trailers at that time. Implement a description for expectation for custodians to include, but not limited. Clock reservations, invoice, and payments will now be handled through a new USA Kansas website with no exceptions. No typed or handwritten reservations and invoices will be accepted moving forward. No special deals, trade-offs, or other considerations will be accepted. In very limited circumstances, the USA Board, you all, will be the ones to approve any concessions outside of these guidelines. Chartered clubs with USA Kansas sanctioned events will take precedence over high school and college events. All clock rentals will be on a first come, first served basis with payment due upon reservation and no refunds. That's a big change because we invoiced them afterwards and they had already used the clock. So now they're going to be paying up front. Custodians must follow through to ensure the clocks are delivered, picked up on time. properly inventoried at the time of rental and after an event has taken place. That also sometimes includes that if a clock, let's say a clock goes to Parsons, and then the next week it was needed in Girard, well, there's not a reason for it to come back to wherever that central location is in Wichita, let's say, if in fact those people could coordinate that delivery from one to the other. And that needs to be something we make sure we consider as we go forward in managing those assets and those resources, is we don't need to add a bunch of extra effort when we can connect the dots too. Establish a committee to identify and bring a minimum of one clock custodian per district. The clock custodian will work directly with its respective district director. State chairman and U.S. board will ensure logistic obligations are met, determine what, if any, compensation should be given to the clock custodians. And we have talked about that before. And I believe this board or that committee recommended about a 12.5% of what the value of the clock rental is should come back to compensate the custodians. That hasn't been approved. That's what we're about, what we need to talk about tonight. All clock reservations will be paid up front at the time of the reservation through the U.S. site. Only consideration for refunds will be in the event of an act of God that prohibits an event from taking place. No refunds will be given in the instance where an event is canceled due to low numbers or other reasons not related to an act of God, flooding, building collapse, significant weather. Any refund requested will need the approval of this board of directors. New price. USA sanctioned clubs went from 50 to 75 per day. I will add what else that meant. Sometimes when we reviewed the clock and the way they were distributed, if you had a Saturday, Sunday clock in the past, those clubs or whoever were renting them really only paid 1 day. So this is per day now. High school and colleges will be $100 per clock per day. No concessions or deals will be made without the prior approval of this board. Kansas sanctioned events will take precedence over high school or college events. This board and regional events, or our state tournament and regional events, should only use our state-owned clocks moving forward. I'll add a little preface to that. I don't think that was written correctly. We have the clocks, but there might be other opportunities where we need more clocks too. A quarterly report on clock rentals, revenue, and any repair and maintenance required should be prepared and presented to the USA Board of Directors moving forward. And that quarter report, I know, Mickey, if you, I know you've probably already have bills up that mounted up to $8,000 already. We set a budget of money that was set aside for maintenance on to trailers and equipment and stuff like that. And we actually received a bill after the state tournament where payment was made to a district or to one of the custodians who was taking care of the clocks last year, and they never cashed the check. So we went in the hole. We're already in the hole against our budget on almost $8,000. Some of that also included when we got the trailers back from Mark Stanley, who did a great job of managing his portion too. There was repairs that needed to be done on there, and I bet they mounted to about $3,500 by the time we got them all taken care of. So right out of the gates, we have put probably, and Mickey, you know better than I do, but it's probably close to $8 grand on that line item already.
Yeah.
It is highly recommended that the USA Kansas Board of Directors closely monitor clock revenue and moving forward to determine the continued feasibility of clock rentals. You can see who was on the Lance and Jesse and Amanda Moore, Mickey Johns, Lauren Aerosmith, and then William and myself. We were contributors ourselves too, but the committee was done that way. There is some comments I will make that isn't on this on this list, I would think that we would consider high school when we talk about these monies going out per day. Right here, it says high school or college. The one thing that's not mentioned there is middle school. Does this board have a problem with the middle schools being considered as high school or college, or should be a different line item for those?
Kurt, this is Jesse. If I could just put a little, having a little bit of knowledge on that, I think that the intent of that is any school function, but I understand why you're asking the question for clarification, but I think the intent would have included middle school as well, but I'll let the board decide that. So,
and to that point, if we do decide that, let's change high school to just USD then. Any other comments? Anybody opposed to middle school being in there at the $100 per day? Seeing none, and I didn't not taking a vote. We don't want to make sure we don't miss things here, and then go, oh golly, what the heck are we going to do for middle school? You know, because it'll come up. I just think we see overall high school and colleges, we'll just say USD. If I'd have no opposition to that.
you could also simplify that by saying non-USAWKS sanctioned events.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Okay, so hearing none, we will make that change, and everybody outside of our clubs will pay $100 per day, per clock. The other thing that's missing off of this is we have camera kits, and they make money with camera kits, and they're Stephen, you had to rent what, 4 for the state tournament last year? Or actually they brought them, didn't they?
They loaned them to us, and I believe we ended up using 6 of them. So at the end of the day, we do not have enough camera kits on our own to provide video streaming at the state tournament. So we either need to not do video streaming at the state tournament, or we got to come up with a plan to add probably 6 or 8 more kits.
Okay. And I suppose that number probably is 8 versus 6 going into this year.
If we're going to have 22 mats, we got to have 24 kits. So we back up and redundancy in case of.
Still with camera kits, because they're not on this list. And people make good money with them. I mean, they stream and they sell that. What price should we have on camera kits for renting those out?
I think historically, we'd have to verify with Richard, but I think historically they were the same price as just what we were, but I will say this. Not very many clubs have rented them for season tradition. Mace has rented them a few times for Battle of the Belt. I can't honestly think of anybody that's rented them. Maybe Range University for their college tournament has rented them. There's only been 1 or 2 events per year outside of the state tournament. But we need to get Richard on it.
Are we saying we want to table that until Richard has some input on that? Is that what I
Well,
hear?
I mean,
Or what are we saying?
I don't think we should be tabling it. We've tabled too much on the clocks and stuff. We need to move forward.
Okay,
So why can we not set a price and put it in there? If somebody uses it, then we have it in the outline. If somebody doesn't use it, then it's in the outline for no reason. So
Okay. How
I
much do
mean,
we want to charge? Is that 100 a day?
I don't think
How-
we
how
need
many-
100 a day. I mean, when I did research for other states like Missouri, Nebraska, they were charging, I think, $30 to $50 a day for video streaming.
What's
But
the
I think-
recommendation?
How many do we have? Does anybody know the answer to that?
We would have had to have, we had 22 mats and you rented, or they brought 6. That means that we would have had 16. Or do you have 20 mats last year?
I believe that there are 18 TrackCast kits, and I also believe at least 2 to 4 of them do not work. They either are missing cords, the camera doesn't work, computer isn't updated. So I think there's 18, but I believe somewhere between 2 and 4 of them do not be. I know that Kyle Downs of with State here, he sent me to Tennessee. He said the TrackCast kits are a mess, and we need to go through them with a fine tooth comb. If you're going to go down this path, my recommendation is if you're going to rent the TrackCast kits, if a regular clock is $75 a day, make them. So there is more risk in terms of video cameras, and there's just more equipment.
And Mickey, what'd you say that you found when you checked out other states?
They're anywhere from $30 to $50 a day.
Is that in addition to the clocks, or is that charging that
In
much
addition
for
to the
clocks?
clock.
Right.
Some people had them in addition to the clocks, and then some people had them like $100 a day, and that included video streaming and their clocks. So it was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a
So
big deal.
right. So my $100 recommendation would get you the clock and the TrackCast kit. So $100 gets you the clock and the TrackCast kit.
That said, if someone just wanted camera kits as a separate line item, what are we saying, 75? That's the
I don't
cheapest
think-
price we have so
I
far.
don't think we offer it. I don't think we offer it separate. If you're not going to buy our or rent our clocks, then why would we give you our TrackCast, video equipment? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, especially where that's just going to start congesting our custodians where they're having to make a lot more trips.
So part of the condition of having camera kits accompanying clocks is that you have to rent the clocks too. And if we did do that, what's the price we're recommending on those?
I would say just follow what Mickey says, $30 addition to the $100 per clock.
And
For kids, it'd be $30 in addition to the second. I was just trying to keep it a nice round number.
In addition to the 75, you're saying, Steve?
No. $100 should get you clock and the TrackCast. So basically $25 more than.
Okay.
That's my recommendation. It's up to you.
And it's tied to a clock. Okay. Anybody opposed to $25 and making sure that camera kits go along only with the rental of the clocks?
so does that mean we're now charging the USDs and colleges only 75? If they don't
No,
want
it
the
means
camera?
that it'd be 125 if they want,
125.
camera kits.
Kurt, I feel like 2 years ago, I put it in the chat, but I feel like 2 years ago when we hosted the NJCAA districts here at Barton, that it was $150 for a clock and camera setup.
And that came from USA WKS.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to go back while you guys were discussing some of that to find the bill and stuff, but I couldn't. I couldn't find it. But I feel like it was $150 when we had to run the track cast for Challenge Bricks.
I'll send Richard a text. I don't know if he'll answer. He's off doing something.
Thank you for that input, Nathan, and welcome to the meeting. I said good things about you earlier. Sorry you weren't here, but a welcome to the board, and really look forward to your contribution to Kansas wrestling. You've made.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Well, originally we had 25, but if we've done 50 in the past, I'm not opposed to any of that. I'm not aware of the costs that we've done relative to these camera kits. Okay, we'll wait on Steve to contact him. Can I share my screen with you, William, and you take everybody through what's going on relative to the website?
You just need to stop sharing your screen and then I'll share mine and they'll be able to see what
I
they
did.
need to see.
I stopped.
Okay. Let's see. All right. Can everybody see my screen now?
Yep.
All right. So I think everybody on the clock committee has already seen this. That was on the clock committee has already seen this. So this is pretty much for everybody else. So what we have here is basically what we call it's on a subdomain of our main organizational domain, which is usawks.com. And it's really simple. It's rentals.usawks.com. And that actually takes them to the actual site. Functionally speaking, it's a completely separate website than our main site. And I did that really for a lot of reasons, but it just keeps everything kind of nice and clean out there. So when somebody, a club director or whoever else wants to rent a clock comes to this website, this is the front page that they see. And I probably won't be too much more extravagant than that. I might put a picture of the TrackCast kits on a slider on here and blah, blah, blah. But point is, all they need to do if they want to rent a clock is either click on shop here, which really there's only one item in there, so it's the only one they can get, or they can click on browse rentals. It does the same thing. So they want to rent a score clock. They just click on rent this item. They're going to need a start date and an end date. And these are important because they will be billed based on the start date and the end date. So if they put 2 days worth in there, but they're only planning on using them for 1 day on Saturday, then they're still paying for 2 days. So, if they're not checked in by that first day, at the end of that first day, then they're going to get charged the second day. So it's really important that people pick the right dates on there. But hopefully I picked the right dates here. But before I do that, let me go to the back end and what I can see and what some other people may be able to see depending on how Kurt wants to set the permissions on there. But this is the back end of what the website looks like. And so what we do is we go into rentable items here, and each of the clocks that we have will be in this list here. Now I only have 4 in here right now. We'll have 65 or whatever it is that we have in here, and we'll properly name them and properly give them serial numbers. Everything in here is just made up numbers so that I could demonstrate the system. But typically they're going to have a base location. So in this case, there are 2 clocks that are based in the Salina area, and it doesn't have to be Salina. I just use those because they're in the district there. So whoever is the clock custodian, that location would be somewhere close to them. So 2 in Salina, 1 in Bayshore, 1 in Wichita. And it also has a status here, which tells you exactly the status of the camera, the track clock right now. So clock 4 and clock 2 are sitting at somebody's garage, one of our custodians' garages, theoretically. And then clock 1 and 3 are checked out. And right now they're actually checked out to me because I'm the one who checked them out. So that's how we configure the clocks in here, and we can add more and take them away and put them into a status where they can't be rented and stuff like that. But all this is really important because this dictates whether or not the clocks are available on the front end where our clubs are actually able to rent them. So if you're just looking at this, you can probably kind of tell that when I go out to search for clocks, I'm only going to be able to find 2 of them, and they're by location, of course. So back out to the front end here, and I want to rent a clock, and I'm doing a tournament at Carroll down in Wichita, and my tournament's going to be on the 6th of December, and it's going to end on the 6th of December as well. So I plan to give those clocks back at the end of the day. I'm going to pick a location close to me because I don't want to drive very far to get them. So if I pick Wichita, then it's going to give me a group to pick. And based on what group they pick here will determine how much they pay. And again, that is, the prices are configurable on the back end here. And I have them set to 175, 200, but it sounds like from the discussion that happened that we may be doing track kit or track, whatever the heck they are, camera add-ons. So I'll add that in there. That's not a big problem. On the front end, they will simply, I'm just going to do a chartered club right here. They'll simply have a checkbox or something to that effect that says, yes, I want to add, or it'll say track kit add-on, and there'll just be another checkbox next to it. And when they check that, the price will calculate into it. So I'm the club at Carroll Junior Club. Selected the date I'm having my tournament. I picked that I'm a chartered club. As you can see, there is only 1 clock out there that's available for me to rent. And that's exactly what shows on our back end here. There's only 1 clock at Wichita that's idle. If there were 7 clocks out here that were idle out there, then this list would have 7 clocks on it, and I could rent all 7 at a time. But the beauty of this is that I can rent them all on one screen. I don't have to go out and pick a second clock and hit add to cart and all that. They can all be done at one time. So I click on clock 4, and it will automatically calculate this for me based on the price per day and the number of days selected. So if I change this to 2 days, it would recalculate this out to $150. And if I had 2 clocks selected, it would multiply it and do all that good math. So once I'm ready to check out and I want to rent 10 clocks or how many ever, all I got to do is hit add to cart. And that will add those items into, this is called a mini cart widget up here. But I can either click here and that'll take me to the cart, or I can click up here and that'll take me to the cart. And when I hit view cart, it's going to show all the items that I rented. There's only 1 item on here, obviously, but if there were 8, there'd be 8 separate line items, and it's all broken down in there so they can see what they're going to have to pay. You won't see this coupon code there. I just haven't taken that part off yet. We're not doing coupons. But I'm ready to check out, and there's some spacing issues here that I have to work on too, but that's either way. So hit proceed to checkout, and this is where they can either check out as a guest, or they can check out as they can log into an account or create an account and check out with that, which I doubt very many clubs will do or individuals will do, simply because they're usually only going to rent these clocks once a year. So they don't really need to do that, but it's going to ask for billing information. And this is going to be important because they're going to have to use a debit or a credit card of some kind to rent these. I think that's what we said. We're not going to do checks. Is that, somebody tell me if that's wrong or not?
Mickey, what's your input on that?
No, there was no checks. It was all electronic. So
Okay, so
I guess maybe
that's
if there's a cash electronically, you can do it cash electronically if there's that option.
Yes.
But
we can do electronic checks. So those are ACH conversions from bank accounts.
They can do, I mean, we can do ACH or we can do debit credit card. So like if we say we use the Venmo app, they can do ACH or credit card, which is fine. But
Okay, so
like we had stated prior, if they mail a check, it does not hold their clock. So somebody could take those clocks.
right.
So.
So the other beauty of this system is once somebody has paid for their reserved clocks, they become unavailable to anybody else who gets on the system at that moment and past. So anyway, they'll put their address in here. It needs to match up to the address that's on file with their card. This is actually my dad's address, which is kind of funny. In this case, you'll see check payments down here simply because I enabled the check payments on this at the moment because I wasn't going to do a live transaction with the electronic card. So once everything looks good in there, they'll hit place order and it'll say your order's been received. It will send them an email with their information and all that. So on the back end, what that looks like is the orders will come into the order system here. And in this case, it's going to say on hold simply because it was a paper check deal. But when they're paying electronically, it'll go straight to completed because we've already received the money. So once that order has been put in, what you'll notice on the rentable items screen is the status will change. Sorry, I have to put this into completed status since it wasn't electronic. It says it changes that status from idle to scheduled, meaning that it's going to be out on 12/6 regardless. Now, that will not stop somebody from coming in and renting that particular clock before that time period, but the last day that they could schedule would be the day before the beginning of this one. So the system's smart enough to account for all of that. So if somebody did come in and want those clocks the week before that, as soon as they paid for it, this would change to 11/30 or whatever that date would be, and it would change the name that they were out for. So really cool stuff there. And I really should have done that for today's date so I could demonstrate the check-in. But either way, so that's how it works from the money side of things for Mickey and whoever else. Somebody gonna say something?
Yeah, Nigel, before you move on, I got 3 questions. First one being, are we going to have the custodians operate this on the backside like you're showing right now? Are they going to have to do that?
In a way, yes, but not complicated. And I'll show you that here in a second.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, and then on the dates, when you go in to apply those, most of these people, they're going to be setting up for their tournament on a Saturday, on a Friday night. So are we going to basically be charging them 2 days, to have those delivered to them on Friday night for their tournament on Saturday? Or
Well,
what is that?
That's really a board's decision. And what we can do with that basically is if we are going to allow some leeway, like a day's leeway, then basically the custodian would be able to look and see when that clock's supposed to be out, like if it's a Saturday, and the person can contact the custodian can contact them and say, hey, are you planning on coming picking these up on Friday? And if they say yes, then that's just what the custodian does. Is they let them have the clocks knowing that they paid for them tomorrow and that they're going to, the system's already charged them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
So when we just need to tell people and make it obvious to them that whatever dates that they put on the range that they want them for, that's what they're getting charged for. So there's no guarantee that they can get them before that date and that they need to have them back after that. But, that's something that the custodians can really work through and just know, because they'll know. And in cases where Kirk brought up a good example of, we're not necessarily always going to bring a clock back to its base location because it's going out to another place the next weekend. And if it's not rented, then the person who has them this weekend can really just take them to the next place if they know who it is, or the next place can come and pick them up and have them ahead of time, just as long as the custodian knows where they all are at all times, and with the understanding that if somebody rents those in the interim, that they get first right to them. If that makes sense.
Hey, can I throw some comments in here real quick?
Hey, real quick though, Clay, you had one more question. Is that right?
No, we're good.
Okay. Go ahead, Steve, please.
Okay, so I have probably used the clocks as much as anybody. So, and I've had like 3 people send me text messages that are online that have brought up concerns to me. So I'm gonna just, some of these are just concerns that other people have texted me while we're talking, some of them are. But I want to bring this up. Over time, the clocks have become much more. There was a time when, I remember one time I ran the Arc City tournament, they ran, I think, 10 mats. We went through 14 clocks to get 10 good ones for various reasons. Ethernet cords didn't work. Somebody changed the IP address on the clock or changed the IP address on the computer itself. They did a whole bunch of things to try to resolve some of those kind of issues. What happens when Bishop Carroll rents 10 clocks? They only get 10 clocks available to them, and 2 of the clocks are not functioning. And I'm not looking for a retort. Yes, yet I want to read off my concerns that people have provided to me in real time as we've had this meeting. So that's one example. What are we going to do with that? How are we going to manage it? Another example is, let's say Bishop Carroll needs 12 clocks, but Wichita only has 10. What's the process for them to get the other 2 clocks from the location? And these are just examples. Another issue is, we've said that our kids' tournaments take precedence over high school tournaments. What in the system is going to ensure that that happens? The next one is, what is the communication from club to club? I believe the way it used to work, and I never picked up clocks or dropped them. I think the way it used to work is, if Bishop Carroll was running a tournament, they would go pick them up from whoever had them before them. And then if, Newton is running a tournament the next day, Newton is going to pick them up from Carroll. They kind of do the handoff thingy. But then the other issue is, what if the trailer holds 16 clocks and somebody only needs 10? Are we only going to send them 10, or are we going to send them a full trailer unless somebody has rented the other 6? So these are just things that people have texted me in real time as this meeting is going on, that I wanted to just get the team, the board, to consider. I'm not going to provide any solutions. This is up for us to go do. And then my last comment is, as usual, William, this is fucking fantastic. You did a great job. I wish this would have been done previously. So this is amazing. Thank you very much. But I want to throw those ideas and concepts at the whole board and let you guys custom discuss and figure out how we solve them, so we have a workable solution going forward.
Okay. Well, let me go through the rest of this as quickly as I can, and then we can get to some of those questions. But what I was saying is from Mickey's point of view and from Kirk's point of view, they can come in here and they can come to payment screen. Well, not that screen, sorry. They can look at the orders and see how many orders have been completed. There's also all sorts of analytics to tell them how much revenue is being generated in any given range that they want to use. They can see how much money is supposed to be in our holding account, so to speak, or the money can be directly deposited into a designated bank account and all that stuff. So basically, there's really no way to game this system. The money comes in and it's tracked, and the money goes out and it's tracked, and so on and so forth. So now, from the custodian's point of view, because Clay asked this question, what they will do is come out to this site and go to the login, and they'll use their own login that I create for them. And this is what they see. They shouldn't see this product, so when I get rid of that, but they'll only see this rentable items item over here. And they'll only see the clocks that are assigned to them. In this case, this is a test custodian account that I've assigned all 4 clocks to them. But normally, if there's only 8 clocks that are assigned to that custodian, they're only going to see their 8 clocks. But what they do, it's really simple. When it's time to check in a clock, they simply click on check in on that clock, and it's going to give them the option to add notes in here. And this is useful if there's something broken on there that perhaps we need to charge the club for replacements, or if there's something not necessarily that we plan on charging the clubs for or whatever, but just they can put any notes that they want to in here because it stays with that particular clock. So in this case, I'll just put a note in here like, 2 cords were broken. And click confirm. It'll say it's checked in, and it will change the status of this clock back to idle. And this becomes immediately available out on the website again from that moment. When they go into the clock, they can see the history of that clock, and they can see the check-ins. And I just did a check-in right now. This time is actually off by several hours because the time zone for the website is set to a different time zone. But point is, this will be completely accurate when they check it in, and it will show the notes that they put in there, and it shows who it was checked in by. So as you can see, this will keep track of every single thing that happens with this clock. As I told the clock committee when I was demonstrating this to them, that there are still a few ways that people could game the system from a custodian point of view, which is that they could physically hand over these clocks to somebody who had not rented them through the website because nobody had reserved them 2 days before the tournament. And somehow the people came and picked up 4 clocks and used them at their tournament, and then they returned them back, and nobody knew about it. And that can happen, of course. But what would happen is, Friday night, somebody goes on there to rent those clocks, and it shows that they're available, and they pay for them and rent for them. And now you've got a conundrum, because now the custodian's going to be like, oh crap, I just gave these to another club and they didn't pay for them. So now I got to see what I'm saying. So yes, there is still one way for them to do things they're not supposed to do. And I can address that if I really need to, but like I said, for a custodian, really all they need to do is come in and check these in. Now, in a perfect world, they would actually physically see those clocks, make sure that they're all good and all that before they click that check-in button. When we run into situations where they need to go from one tournament to the next tournament, really they're going to just need to call the receiving tournament and say, hey, does everything look right in here? Are these still working? So on and so forth. And if they are, then they can check them in then, and then they'll be ready to go. So that's I call that the short version of this. There's a lot more that goes into this, but I think that this will alleviate most of the problems that we've had in the past with a lot of the things that the committee has addressed and talked about. There's always going to be some little issues and maybe some big issues like Stephen talked about, but those some of them we can probably work out in advance, and some of them we'll just have to figure out as we go along this first year and see how this system works out. So that's really what I've got for that at the moment.
Thank you, Nigel. William, you I will echo what Stephen said. You've always amazed us on what's going on, and that's why you received that award at the state body meeting for all the stuff you do and contribute to USA Kansas Wrestling. Steve, back to your question. If a cart, or I'm sorry, a trailer shows up and they rented 4 and there's 6 on there, they would use the 4 and then put them back on there, and then it'd come back to the custodian. Did that answer that question? And then the other 2 questions you had, please repeat them.
So remember, these are things that people are texting. So
Sure. That's why I wanted to.
question number 1 is just picking a club. Bishop Carroll rents 10 clubs. In the past, the trailer rents like a 12. I think those oftentimes it's work. So the club rents 10 clocks. They only get 10 clocks. That's 2 of them. Are we going to be obligated to expedite them 2 clocks that are functional? I think that would be especially at the cost we're charging them. If Bishop Carroll rents 10 and we don't give them 10 functional clocks, we should expedite getting them 2 functional clocks or a week. So that's one comment I got.
Yeah, let's finish that one before you go to the next one. Did everybody hear that? Because it was broken up a little bit.
I'll put it in the chat.
So is the question basically is, if I'm understanding correctly, is if they get a clock or equipment, they pay for 10 of them. And when they get it, say 9 is only functioning, are we going to rush and get them the 10th one? Or how, do what?
A lot of this, every single one of Steve Foster's questions that were posed to him, I think are going to be highly dependent on the custodian to rectify.
I agree.
Well,
So
and I
then
think
then the question is $5.99 enough to rectify those custodians?
No,
No,
that's not.
it's a percentage. It's a percentage of the rentals.
Well-
The
I
board
didn't know
actually,
that.
I'm sorry, the committee actually recommended that we go 12.5% on the rental of the clock going back to the custodian.
so let me ask this. What do we do now if a club rents a clock and it's not functioning?
So
I know
typically
when
what happens is this. Let's say Richard has a trailer that's got 18 clocks in it, and Derby rents 12 clocks. Richard's not going to take 6 clocks out of the trailer. He's going to send the whole trailer over. If
Correct,
Derby then goes, sets up 12 clocks and 2 of them don't work, they simply go get 2 good ones that do.
Okay, so why
That's
wouldn't
how
they still be able to do that if that's how it works in that scenario?
Well, what happens when that was my last question. Are we going to send them a full trailer?
Are we
But
going to
I
have
don't-
the custodian deliver these, or are they going to be picked up from the custodian? That's going to be the biggest key.
I think that depends on each tournament or each club, because some people pick them up, some people have them delivered. I think that depends on your club and your tournament.
I was going to think about how we used to go
Someone's breaking up,
I don't know.
breaking up.
I've always had to go get clocks for our tournament. I've never had them delivered. So that's my thought is if you want the clocks, you come pick them up.
Yeah.
So the other thing that can be done to address is from the custodian standpoint is if a club has, let's just say 2 clocks that are not functioning and the club still want those 2 clocks, I can program in a button for those clocks that basically just says swap. And when the custodian clicks on that, it brings up a list of other available clocks that they have, and they click on it, and that will basically swap those 2 clocks out so that there's a real reckoning of where those clocks are. I can certainly do that. As far as giving,
I think from a practical application, I'm just telling you from years and years and years of experience. I've had to use the clocks as many times. I've been hired to set them up more than anybody else individual in the state. I'm just telling you, sometimes I'm telling you right now, one time in Park City, I worked till 1 o'clock in the morning to get clocks. Is our custodian going to deliver the clocks or get them there at 6 a.m.? And I will say that is an extreme example. Track wrestling did a much better job of fixing the IP address problem. So it hasn't been as bad as previously, but it's been, you still go get those occasions when the Ethernet cord isn't working, so the clock doesn't talk to the computer, whatever the case may be.
I go back to what Jesse said. I think that a lot of the things that we're talking about relative situations come up has to do with the responsibility of the custodian, bringing them in, checking them out, and making sure they're available. To Gavin's point, you go pick them up. I have seen Richard deliver deliver clocks to different clubs too, but that's an arrangement that's made at that time and communication that occurs between the club and that custodian. But in most cases, I also know that it goes out to Gavin and Russell wants it next, and then Hayes wants it, and then finally it gets back to Scott type thing that occurs. And then when Scott gets it back, he inventories it, makes sure everything's function. He has sometimes he'd let me know that he has problems with sometimes they come in, they're missing things that were in the boxes to begin with, but that's part of what has to be done is re-inventorying and filling those blank spots that are in those boxes. I also talked to Scott this week about his role and what happened and where he gets his replenishments for parts. He has the old Radio Shack, he says, has most of all of what he needs for the connections and cables and things like that. And then those would be charged back to the state to replenish, or to the club that lost them, if that in fact can be identified, because sometimes you might go 2 or 3 different before they come back to the custodian, and you never know where it was lost at. So.
Do we even know if we have anybody interested in doing this custodian job?
I do know, I spoke with Chris and Parsons, and he wants to continue doing it. And that was one of the things that I talked to him, I think it was Sunday night. He's already renting clocks. His clocks will start going out November 8th. And I told him that we were having a meeting tonight and to keep track of everybody that is renting, because I don't want clubs not to be able to rent them. So he's going to keep them and send me emails until we get everything up and going. But I do know he wants to continue, and he said whatever he has to do to, do it if he needs to fill something out. And so forth. So I do know
And
he
what
does.
about Scott and Mark and Richard? Does anybody know if they're wanting to do this? Because honestly, at this point, we're getting to the point of where we need to get something figured out. I wouldn't be opposed to saying, if you guys want to keep doing this, that's fine, but we're going to use the rental system online so that it takes all of the payment issues away and nobody can be accused of doing anything that they're not supposed to. And they can just handle the custodianship how they've handled it in past years. Because realistically, not much of that is going to change. There's not any new tournaments really that are going to make a huge difference in their schedules. I mean, most of them are running the tournaments anyways. So if we just make it to where they're not billing all together, they're just doing the delivery and whatever else they're doing that weekend, and the people that are wanting the clocks have to pay for them online, that takes that entire issue away and we can move forward.
Yeah. So Clay, to that point, I did talk to Scott Edwards. He was on his way out to hunting trip, and he still has 14 clocks out there. Excuse me. And he has Beloit on 11/29. He has Dodge City on 11/6 and 11/15 at the middle schools there in Dodge City that he wants to make sure. He's been storing those clocks ever since last year at his place. To that point, Chris is Chris down in Parsons. What's Chris's last name, by the way? Anybody know?
Hold that thought.
Anyway, Chris
Chris
down in
Ball.
Parsons, it sounds like he would continue as a custodian too. I also know that Mark Stanley, he gave us notice last year that he did not want to be doing it anymore. And then the other person was Richard, and Richard does not want to do it anymore either. That said, the committee themselves, and I will start sharing my screen again. Hang on here. That said, Amanda, who was on the clock committee, came up with district clock custodian responsibilities of managing the distribution, housing, and coordination of the wrestling clocks within their designated districts. So right now, Scott sounds like he would continue if we asked him. He just needs to know the game rules and compensation and stuff like that. This includes organized pickup and return logistics based on the online reservation and payments through the USA Kansas website. This role ensures all clocks are maintained, accounted for, and ready. So the responsibility: serve as a designated storage location. They would house those clocks in each of those districts. Ensure clocks are stored securely, cleanly, and in a temperature safe environment. I don't know that that's always going to occur. Keep an updated inventory of all clocks. They're in your possession. You're going to take care of them. Reservations, we've gone over how that's done online. They will coordinate the clock pickup and drop off. I know Richard Sawyer did that through emails. So each of the district custodians would do that through emails, just like they've done in the past. They would communicate clearly regarding location, times, and detail of the transfers. The equipment, when they get them back, they would inspect them before and after the use to ensure they are functional and undamaged. They charge, prepare the clocks prior to scheduled pickup, notify the district director or equipment chair if any repairs or replacement are needed. They're going to need to repair those clocks, and that's going to continue be approved. Let's really look at that one. We don't want to stop. Oh my God, I didn't get an approval on buying that connector that needed to be replaced. And you guys, I've asked you 2 weeks ago and no one got back with me. We need to have them the latitude to make sure the clocks are available. Track recording, track each reservation to date. That's going to be done through the website. Confirm that online payments, they don't need to do that. Submit regular equipment usage logs and incident reports to the district director. That could happen, but that's going to be online too. Coordination, collaborate with the tournament directors of clubs, sure enough clocks are scheduled for each event. Assist in locating, borrowing clocks from neighboring districts if they need to. Communicate proactively with USA Kansas equipment director, which we do not have. We just need to make sure they work with their district director with and making sure that the district director knows what's going on within the district for the resources that are available. They organize, dependable, responsible communications. There'd be basic mechanics and electronic troubleshooting skills. We're saying they need to have the ability to secure weather safe storage area, which means if they keep them in a minimum in the trailers are going to be fine. Access to vehicle for occasional delivery and pickup assistance as needed. Willingness to attend occasional district meetings or training or things. There will be a year-round responsibility with peak activity during the wrestling season. Variable weeks, weekly time based on event scheduling. Some weeks may require multiple handoffs, others none. And William, as we go through these, if you notice anything that needs to be corrected, like compensation here or other input from anybody, compensation, the recommendation from the committee was 12.5% would go to these custodians for the clocks that they took care of and got scheduled through them. Detail to be coordinated with the district director. The impact, the role is vital to a smooth execution of tournaments and meets throughout the district by ensuring clocks are available, working, accessible. They will directly support coaches, officials, and athletes across all age divisions. This role also provides a direct revenue stream to USA Kansas, which has been demonstrated. Proposal for clock custodian program, submit to USA Kansas board, your name, your role, give us a resume, why you want that job. Purpose is to streamline the management and the distribution and accountability of wrestling clocks used at events throughout Kansas by implementing a centralized custodian process. We proposed, this is a committee. They said, hey, conduct an inventory of all the clocks and an inventory currently held by districts and individuals, schedule the return and physical inspection of each one, temporary centralized clock location, designated secure storage facility in Topeka. That really doesn't exist. Mark already told us we don't have a place to do that up there at his location. Ensure a controlled access and safe storage. Let me back up to that previous note. I did go look at different locations for rental. I mean, you can go find secure locations to put these clocks on. And I found that we could pay per month $45 for each trailer that comes to the location as we go through an inventory. It shouldn't take us 2 months actually to get through everything. And then also a rental place where we keep hardware parts, the things to repair different things. But we got to do an initial inventory and itemizing these things, because that way we know within the website, as they check them out, there's an item on there that they're checking out, as Williams already alluded to. In the meantime, I called, everybody saw that Ed Edison got up and told that he was done with his role in Knights, the Blue Knights. He has a facility down there. He told me that he would be more than willing for us to use his facility to bring those trailers with those clocks in them. And he has electricity, which doesn't exist at the secure sites that we would rent from storage, to be able to test and get those things out and get them inventoried, make sure things work before we move them on to the custodians. That is available. I told him we'd pay him the same as what we'd pay for the rental that we would pay anywhere else. We didn't look at it being that long of a duration. He has cameras all over that place. People are not going to be on his property without him knowing it. That's the way it currently exists right now. He did say he was accepted, and he goes, whenever you guys want to start, we do it. If Richard wanted to call tomorrow and say, hey, Ed, I got 4 trailers, take over your spot, he has it set up for us if that's what we want to do. So that's talking about the storage, temporary centralized storage. Recruit clock custodians. A little bit further down here, we're going to see what that is. Distribute and announce. We got to go on USA Kansas through the email process and take that job description, say, hey, who's interested? We should make sure it's available for past custodians, like Chris Ball, I think is his name, in Parsons. And if Scott Edwards wants to continue, let them put their name in the hat and we'll look at them. And include a clear job description, get that out. Applicants will express interest and be reviewed based on the availability and reliability and regional proximity. I really think that the district director should be involved in making sure that they have a part and say in who's selected within their district to be that custodian. Compensation, this didn't get updated, but 12.5% was recommended. 12.5%, you got 4 clocks going out at $100 a piece. You just made $50 on the weekend, and you just got them ready and someone came and picked them up. And okay, I'm good with that. Mileage reimbursement, we need to talk about that if we're going to be paying long distance travel if necessary. I think that really ought to be gas versus mileage on gas receipts. Establish a check-in, check-out. That's already been done through Nigel. Past due balances, that's all been taken care of because they can't do that. And then prove the benefits of improve accountability and profits. It's easier and fairer distribution of the equipment. Actions approve a temporary designated location so we can get this ball rolling at Edison. I'm going to recommend that occur. We approve a creation and dissemination of clock custodian job description, confirm compensation structure at 12%. And I think gas ought to be in there because sometimes that's a cost to them. Approve policy framework for handling overdue balances. We should not have that problem. Notify all clock holders to return. And that would be, hey, bring them on in. And if we got to bring them, pay them gas mileage, bring them in so we get them inventoried and then finalize location where that storage would be. I'm suggesting that be Ed. Launch email social campaign for the custodians, publish and reinforce, update the clock reservation procedure that's already been put in place. And then they would spit their name and that to be their job description, what we've gone over here. Have I missed anything that anybody else that needs to be really looked at? And I really think that those decisions should come from those districts and where those custodians reside. Questions, comments? We good with going forward with a plan? We've got things that have to get done. Ed is standing by. Max Storage here in town standing by if we need them. But it'd be $45 a day per trailer. Ed's not going to charge us for electricity, so we can test things out. Comments, yay or nay? No, I got a better idea. What's your thoughts? Did I lose you?
No.
This is the custodian job description that was put together by the committee. I filled in a few blanks, but I think it's a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point we need to just vote on bringing all the trailers over to Ed's to inventory them and then putting out a job description for custodians.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the motion for me, please, so I get it correct in the minutes?
Clay, go ahead and repeat that.
Motion was to.
I'm sorry, somebody else's mic is on and I cannot hear Clay.
Motion was to move all of the clocks to Ed Edison's place so we can inventory and then put out not job applications, but essentially job descriptions and find those custodians via the district directors.
Second to that motion.
Second,
Who was that?
Gavin.
Thank you, Gavin. Let's go down the roll call. Derek.
Yes.
Stephen.
Yes.
Mickey.
Yes.
Clay.
Yes.
Adam.
Yes.
William.
Yes.
Nathan.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Gavin.
Yes.
Is Jesse still with us? I don't think he's with us still. Unanimous. We'll get them to Ed and bring them in. we really need to form a committee to do this. Okay. I also talked to Lauren Aerosmith earlier today, and she did not mind leading up this committee to go put this all together. The one thing she's going to need help on is that job description. And then Amanda will get that job description distributed to all the clubs. So we get back good input back to the district directors on who they want to see within their districts. I know we got a little cleanup there that needs to happen. And as I read through that, I noted some of that cleanup that needed to occur. I will take the responsibility to get that job description cleaned up and get that to Amanda so she can get that out to all the clubs via the membership system. And then that input should come back to the districts on who they want to, in what area they're at, who wants to do it. And is 12.5% okay with everybody? And do I need a motion for that?
Kurt, before you go on to that, can you repeat what you want the committee form to handle, please?
The committee should be handling getting the inventory done and itemization of each one of the clocks complete, and ensuring through the electrical hookups that Ed will provide to ensure that the inventory works before we distribute it out. The other thing we need to consider too is a locking system on those trailers. I have not been personally involved with trailers and how we lock everything up, but there should be lock boxes or something on each one of those trailers that we have a code or something like that that allows the club, when they receive them, they can open them. Likewise, when they come back, you know, that same lock is on that trailer, but that needs to occur at that time too. Does anybody see any other thing that needs to be done when we collect these out prior to distributing them to the new custodians or existing custodians? Anything else that needs to be done?
As far as the lock goes, that needs to just be put back on the custodian. They're going to be the one that has the trailer. I don't think we give anybody access directly to those trailers besides the custodians.
Okay. I just didn't know if once they got to a club, they should be locked and maybe there's a box or something on them. That's what I was meaning. And if we need to take care of that while we have them all centrally located and inventoried and checking them out, we get that taken care of too. But anything else?
And you said, Kurt, you said Lauren is heading up this committee?
I think that I asked her earlier tonight whether she would do that, and she said she would help. The bulk of all the equipment's going to come from Richard.
Okay.
Okay. So any issues with going forward with that plan? Say no. If not, we will move forward. I'll clean up the job description. I'll get it to Amanda. We'll get that out. And the district's directors will hire those people that are in their area. Clay, I think, or Jesse, whoever's taking District 4, if Scott wants to continue, Chris wants to continue, that's a no-brainer. But we definitely got to get something going up in the District 3 Topeka area, because there was a high demand up there for clocks. And we also got to get something going in the District 2 area. So big things going on there. What are the things we need to do for clocks to get things going? We got schedules that are coming up in 3 weeks. That said, we'll move forward. If I hear no disagreement with moving forward with that plan, I will call Ed tomorrow and let him know that we will pay him $45 for each month that those clocks are on there. If we can't get everything done within 2 months, and then we continue to pay, but I think we'll be done by then for sure. But it's a matter of getting those custodians hired. Does anybody disagree with the 12.5%? Along with that, I want to make sure that if a custodian is spending their gas money to go collect or take, that we reimburse them also, not for mileage, but for gas. Anybody opposed? Or actually, can I have a motion on that? So it's for the custodians to have gas reimbursement and 12.5%.
I think
Can I
gas
have
is
a
a little,
motion?
I think gas is a little bit of a stretch, Kurt. I really think you need to think about doing like 30 cents a mile or something like that.
Yeah, because 70 right now, 70 is quite a steep price on mileage. And I don't mind going 30 either. And I think we'll find the gas is about 10% of that 70 cents.
But Kurt, you're also raising them from $5.99 to 12.5%. Do we need to add gas and mileage to it? I mean, you're taking them from $5.99 to probably anywhere from 1,000 plus.
And that revenue went up almost twice too on those clocks.
I personally, looking at number wise, I don't think we need to add to it. I think by increasing them to 12.5%, if they spend $50 to transport,
Why don't we just make it a flat? We're raising the cost of the clocks by.
Steve, you're breaking up. Steve, you're breaking up. I couldn't hear everything.
I said, why not just raise it to a flat 15%, no mileage, no gas?
Let's make a motion then. Steve made a motion, 15% does not include gas or anything. It's just straight flat fee. Any second on that?
Second,
Who seconded?
Clay.
Thank you, Clay. Steve was motion, Clay seconded. Let me go down. Derek, do you agree?
Yes, I'm in agreement with that.
Stephen Foster,
Of course, I agree.
Mickey,
no,
Clay,
I'm sorry, can you go back? Who was before Mickey?
before Mickey was Stephen Foster.
And his was a yes,
Yes,
and Derek's was a yes.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You're fine. Don't worry. And then Clay,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
thank you. William,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
okay. Gavin,
Yeah.
okay. And I don't show that JC, Richard, or Jesse are online anymore. That is one against and all the rest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yeses, one opposed. Passes. 15% will be the compensation we pay the custodians, does not include gas or any other compensation. That said, is there anything else we need to talk about on clocks? We've made a heck of a lot of progress on this. Okay. I will, like I said, I'll get the job description completed with the amendments we had here, and we'll go forward. We got about 2 weeks to get all this done. and I would think that I'll call Ed, and then I'm sure the very first thing that's going to happen, Richard's going to be delivering clocks. I'll talk to Lauren, and we'll go from there. Okay. Any other issues on clocks? We are sitting at 9:30. I only scheduled this till 9:30. I would like to, if it's okay with the board, to get the next item done. And it had to do with the parliamentarian. First of all, is there any other issues on clocks? That said, let's go forward. We have Williams. Again, I think this is something that's going to go through Amanda. It has to do with the parliamentarian, which was approved. If you can see what's in red, can you everybody see my screen or not? Everything that's in red was approved. It'd be a non-voting member of this board. And if that person is not in a meeting with us when we form a quorum, I will act as that person in their role as item C. And then the parliamentarian will serve as an expert advisor on parliamentary procedures, organizational governance responsibilities, including compliance with the USA Wrestling Kansas bylaws, Robert Rules of Order, assisting the state chairman in maintaining order during meetings and interpreting procedural rules to resolve disputes. Parliamentarians shall be responsible for guiding board members on procedural matters, ensuring consistency in decision-making processes, and maintaining the integrity of the board meetings. Additionally, the parliamentarian will interpret the Constitution and associated rules and render a decision whenever there is a question regarding the content of these documents. Any interpretation by that parliamentarian will take 2/3 vote of this corporate board to override them. Okay. That said, I think our talent for a parliamentarian resides within our body, and we should put this out through Amanda and allow people to, we should solicit people from our body and allow them to put their name forward to our board, to where when we get together next time at a board meeting, we can make a parliamentarian decision on who that would be. Like we did the same thing as treasurer last year.
I think what we did with the treasurer last year was very, very agree. Should make a vote tonight, or you should solicit input.
So your motion is what?
That we treat this like we did with the treasurer last year, and we solicit nominees and multi-vote them down so you pick the person if you think is the right person.
Okay. William, will you get this bulletized summarization of the parliamentarian role condensed just to the red and get that to Amanda to where we can get that out to all the clubs and ask among our body for candidates for parliamentarian for this board?
Yes.
Thank you.
I can probably put some suggestions in there. No, not my suggestion, but basically state this is really what we're looking for. So whoever serves in this position, I mean, it's a really serious thing. And so they're going to need to have a very, very good understanding of Roberts. And honestly, somebody that has a legal background, particularly a lawyer, would be the best person for it. But
Stephen, your mic's on. Okay, go ahead.
That would be the ideal person, would be somebody that that has a legal background, either as a legal aid or more really a lawyer. But some people will volunteer their time. They're not giving legal advice, but somebody will volunteer their time, and some won't. So I think it's great to put it out there, and we'll see who comes back and says they want to do this, because I think it's very clear from the language that's in there, that this is not somebody that's going to get to make decisions for the board and what we do. This is somebody who is strictly here to make sure that we all are doing things the way that our bylaws state and how Roberts says they're supposed to be done. Because I'm pretty good with Roberts through my experience with councils, but there are some things that I don't know and some things that I forget. So having somebody here to say, "Oh, wait a second, you can't do that because," would be good. And then we're not sitting around saying, "Well, I don't know if we can do this or not."
Yeah.
I think the one thing that we have to be very cautious of is we need to put a very strict timeline. I love what we did last year with Mickey, and we got the right person, but it just took too long. We need to have this figured out in the next 7 days. We need to give ourselves a timeline and say, this will be decided in the next 13 days, 28 days, 30 days. Pick a time frame. Let's get it moving.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. And so that means we clean up this parliamentarian, we get it to Amanda, get it out. We solicit through the membership system to all the clubs, because this resource exists among us. I can't believe it doesn't. So that's the steps. And I agree with you, Steve. There's no reason that if we get together within, let's say, 3 weeks to go over what's happened with the clocks, that we have input on people who would like to stand before us and go, you know what, I'd like to be your parliamentarian, just like we did for treasurer.
Well, and those people, we need to interview those people as well.
Yeah, and that's what we did with treasurer. We interviewed this board invited them to the board meeting, and we allowed them to pitch their pitch, and we went away and we decided who would be the treasurer. Same thing for the parliamentarian. And I agree, Steve, we need to, whatever our next meeting is, I'm going to say 3 weeks from now. In the meantime, we get those input in, that because we sent out those requests on who would like to be and why you want to be, and tell us why you want to be a candidate and be the parliamentarian for the state. And we look at the 4 or 5, whoever that is, and we pick who that is at our next meeting. Is that acceptable to everybody?
I think so.
Okay. This person has quite a big role stepping in. We just approved, or we went through 49 bylaw changes, and we need to update our bylaws. Okay. So we've got an awful lot that's on this plate right off the bat. So I'm looking forward to their participation on this board.
Kurt, what was the time frame for this task?
I would like to make sure that everybody would agree that 3 weeks from now, we meet again to status where we are on the committee for clocks, and we elect a parliamentarian. And at the same time, we also elect our treasurer. We're not going to get that done tonight, or it's not on the schedule, but I would like to schedule that for next time. Go over the clock status and other things that need to be done.
I think you need to do that in 2 weeks on the 29th before 3 weeks. 3 weeks dealing with the clocks, and this puts us that first week of scheduled events.
Is everybody okay with 2 weeks from now? Is anybody opposed? Is anybody opposed with meeting 2 weeks from now?
As much as I hate meetings, is it possible for us to solicit the people for the parliamentary? If we say, hey, you have 12 days to submit your recommendations for parliamentarian, and the night we have the meeting, we interview them in line like we did before. I agree 2 weeks. I agree 2 weeks with the clocks, but can we really realistically accept nominations for the parliamentarian and conduct team's interview with those votes in 2 weeks? Do we need a meeting in 2 weeks for clocks and a meeting in 3 weeks for the parliamentarian position, so that we have enough time to make sure we solicit the nominees and conducted interviews. Just a thought.
Yeah, that would be fine, Steve. But I think you also got to remember too, if we get 4 crap nominees that aren't going to do the job good, we don't have to accept them.
I agree.
Is the 29th okay? And we say by the 24th or the 25th that those that are interested, we get everything out. William, you condense this, get it to Amanda. She distributes among all the clubs. We say that by this weekend. We want your responses back by the 25th so we can meet on the 29th to go over the status of clocks and take a look at the people that have put their name or they're put forward to be the parliamentarian for USAW Kansas. Is that okay with everybody? Or is anybody opposed to that? Not hearing anything. We will, is there a reason why we can't have that out by this weekend, by the 18th?
Kurt, I think there's some questions in the chat that you'll need to look at.
Go ahead and state them. Let me get to them, but where are we? Chat, okay.
It's Stephen's comments at the end. Will we conduct the interviews on the 29th or review the nominees? Then schedule the interviews 1 week later, question mark.
I think that we have them in by the following week. Let me bring that calendar back up. We have it out by the 18th. Their interest in being on the board by the 25th, and we review those candidates on the 29th.
And then we'll interview them the next week.
No,
Kurt,
let's set
yeah,
it for
I
the
would
29th
do
for
that.
them to be interviewed. If we know
I'm
by-
sorry, it was cutting out. Can you say that again? I just want to make sure I get this correct for the meeting minutes because there's a lot of stuff that's being thrown out there and I don't know what is the accurate.
Okay, so the 18th, by the 18th, we'd have it distributed to statewide to all the clubs. We would set a deadline to have those input back by the 25th. And by the 29th, we would schedule those interviews at our next meeting. Is anybody opposed to that?
I think you're trying to put too much in one meeting, Kurt. I think you need to get the clocks finished on the 29th, look at who we have that submitted for the parliamentarian on the 29th, and schedule the interviews for that 5th, the next week.
This 5th right here?
Yeah,
Is
I
that-
agree with Clay.
Okay. Is everybody okay with 29th we'll review and then interview on the 5th? We'll do the clocks on the 29th and do the interviews on the 5th. Anybody opposed? That means our next meeting be on the 29th and then we'd have one on the 5th. 29th is clocks status and knowing who we're going to interview on the 5th. Okay, those interviews. Anybody opposed to that?
That's parliamentarian interviews
Yes,
or
the 5th.
you're talking treasurer interviews?
No,
Parliamentarian.
parliamentarian.
Again, James, I appreciate the fee.
And I think we need to have like some guidelines, like if we end up with 6 people, you get 10 minutes to tell us your life story. You got to be very disciplined in the process. We don't need a 3-hour meeting.
And the 5th would be specifically for those interviews.
It would
Unless,
only be interviews and voting for who you.
yeah. Unless something came up in the previous meeting on the 29th, we need to get taken care of. That's the only thing that we would schedule for the 5th, okay? Is that okay with everybody? William and Amanda, are you guys good with getting that out by the 18th?
Oh, I'll have it done by tonight.
Oh, yeah.
And then I can send it out tomorrow morning.
Okay, we're great. Fantastic. We will go with the 29th and the 5th as the dates for our next meetings. With the clocks on the 29th, we'll do interviews on the 5th and for the parliamentarian. On the clock meeting, we will also appoint our treasurer. Okay. Anybody not, go ahead.
Kurt, do you have a time for the meetings that you want to?
What
Put
work,
in now?
does 8 o'clock on Wednesday work both weeks for everybody? Did it, or is 8:30 okay? Because I don't see an awful lot. I think we ought to schedule for an hour. We get done by 9:30 if we started at 8:30. Is that okay with everybody? Or is anybody that not good with?
Fine by me.
Okay.
What
We will go.
what if we end up with 6 nominees? So we have to put that down.
We'll know. And like you said, we'll give them 5-10 minutes, 10 minutes max, each one of them. We will, and we'll decide. And I'm looking forward to the candidates that come forward. Is that okay with everybody?
Did you say 8:30 for just the 5th or for both?
For both, if everybody's okay at 8:30, we'll schedule May 30 for both. Because I know that Nathan, he didn't get here till 8:15 because he's teaching class. But what works best for everybody? 8:30 is what I suggested.
Yeah, that's fine. Later the better.
Okay. We will go 8:30 on both those dates. And so we've scheduled our next meeting. I did have some miscellaneous items I wanted to bring up real quick and just get them over with. Couple things. D3, I ruled that they had a quorum. Okay. It takes 2/3 of a vote by this board to override my decision on that quorum. So that is my decision that they had a quorum. They had 26 clubs there, 15 or 26 registered, 15 showed up. That is a quorum. I wanted to give this board the opportunity, if they did not agree with me, to go 2/3 on that. If not, I will take motions at this moment for that. Not hearing any motions, I will move on. Next thing is we did have the freestyle director in District 3 that did not have his card in time. We had other people that were elected that day that on the state body floor that were nominated didn't have the card either. They could not. I did talk to Zimmerman about this. This is easily rectified by coming together at a tournament, just like we did for the budget last year. And District 3 host a meeting at a tournament and get their District 3 director for freestyle elected. Pretty simple process. That's what I say needs to happen there.
So
You have any good with that? Go ahead, Steve.
just out of curiosity, how do we rectify the women told that she wasn't about her?
You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
How do we rectify the woman trying to rent for, I can't remember what position.
Megan.
She was told,
Basically, yeah.
I think if we're gonna do one, you gotta do both.
Yeah,
That's what I just said, Steve, that the
do
districts
both.
will have their own meeting at a tournament, just like we did for the budget last year, and they'll get their person elected.
No, but I'm talking about somebody on the state.
He's talking about
somebody,
Megan that we didn't let
we-
run
we-
because she wasn't renewed.
we told somebody running for a state board position, she could not. run. How in the world do we save face and allow somebody to run for a district position when we told, if you do it for one person, I think you gotta do it for both people. You can't do it for one, not for. I think that's
Well, there's
neither one.
there's
I see a hand up.
there's kind of a
James, I see your
difference
hand
there.
up. James, I
Yeah,
see your hand up.
Yeah, I raised my hand with Mojo. She was going to run when Adam and Susan were going to run. And what got called into question from the folks out at Cherryville was, did she have a card? And then I believe you addressed the question and said that she could not run because she did not have her card that day.
That's true.
So, right. So earlier that morning, D3 had their meeting. Danny did not have his card at that time frame. I
That's
get it.
true.
Both of Danny's been a member for 30 years. Mojo's been one since she was 6. So probably 20 years. I would recommend that it's up to you guys. If you're going to do it, you got to fix both of them. Because
Yep.
precedent was set that morning at the D3 meeting. And that's the precedent you use then at the state body meeting.
So neither one of them was elected and their positions are not elected. We filled one of the positions. The other one is still open and D3 has a responsibility to go get that person elected, whoever that is. Because right now they do not have a person in that position.
Which
But
I
Kurt,
understand
he
that.
was elected. And
No,
there's
he didn't
only-
have a card.
I know, but
He was
they're only
elected.
going backwards because it was pointed out that he didn't have a card. That's the only reason why they're going backwards. That is the only reason. So if
You
you're going to
cannot
do
do
it
one
for
without
him
doing
to let
both.
him rerun and let them do a special meeting to rectify the situation, you're going to
They
have to do
can
that
have a
with Megan.
special meeting to do that. There's
But
nothing
there's
in the
still-
bylaws that says that they can't.
What's in the bylaws that says we can't rectify the girl?
The position's already filled.
Kurt, my
So-
question, I've looked through the bylaws as close as I could, because it's the closest ones we have are from 22.
Yes, sir. You're right.
I cannot find anywhere in there that it actually says you have to have a card to hold a position.
The
So
member,
who is that talking?
that's
Gavin.
Gavin.
Gavin, the interesting thing is, I agree with you. I don't think there's anything in there that says you
I
have to
can
have
tell
a
you
card.
for certain that it's not in there.
But
Yeah,
we
but-
did it. We did a tremendous disservice to that girl. How do we
Agreed.
rectify that? How do we rectify that? You can't go rectify that. You have to apply the same standard for both people. So if we say that that girl's not going to get a run for a position and we revoke that position, then how do we allow somebody that was in the same position get re-voted for? See what I'm
That-
saying?
No,
I
I think
will,
it's a double standard. My opinion.
I will just say this, that there's a difference here, which is
yes, there is.
that at the state body meeting itself, we had a quorum. And so that was established there. So that was a full meeting with duly held elections. In District 3, for that specific position, since he didn't have a card, then there was basically no election for that position. So as Kirk
True.
said, they can go back at any time and establish a district meeting by the bylaws and have that election again. And anybody at that time can run for that position again.
Yes,
That's
But
the
didn't they-
difference.
But didn't they
I think-
read at the beginning, they read him as the Freestyle Greco representative? If you go back and read the minutes, they put him in as the elected person.
and he did not have a card at the time.
But what I'm saying is that shows that they voted on it and that he won. So now we're backpedaling it, saying that he wasn't elected because he didn't have a card.
We
But
have
they
a
voted
position
on
that's
it.
open in D3 for a freestyle director, and they need to fill that position.
If it is not required in our bylaws to have a card to hold a position, then our vote should stand. The disservice was to Morgan McGinnis that you told it
Then
couldn't
why?
run.
I hate to say a bad word, but why in the fuck did we tell that young lady she couldn't run?
Because she didn't have a membership card at that time.
But
where in
neither
the bylaws does it
neither
say it?
did Danny. Neither did Danny. Neither
And
one.
I agree with
Both
that.
of them.
I'm
Then
saying
why
that
are
the
we-
District
what are we
3,
doing to re-
I'm
are we
saying
doing to
District 3
rectify
can
both?
have a election and go fill their freestyle director position. It's an open position.
If
Why
the
aren't we- why
I
aren't
just have
we
a
applying
question.
The same standard for the girl then. That's
And I will also point out
That's
here,
on the
just
state board.
because,
That is not at a district level. And we
Right.
already have a person filled that position.
so Kirk, there's a little bit of precedence here based on the definition of who is an actual member within USA Wrestling. And it says individuals in good standing. And for our purposes, being in good standing means that you're actually a member, and you can't be in good standing and not hold a card. That's really what it boils down to.
And so there's an open position in District 3 that needs to be filled. They need to go fill that position. At however they establish that quorum at a tournament, or if they want to call a meeting, a special meeting amongst themselves, as long as the quorum's there, a majority vote puts whoever they elect in that position.
So we're gonna allow somebody to run again who wasn't a member in good standing on the day we had the original election.
We're going to allow District 3 to have their election for their freestyle director. That is
So
their,
then, since it just was established that you don't have to have a USA card to run for the membership to hold a board position. So
I didn't hear
means
that. I didn't hear that established. I heard
They
William
said
just
that
say
was
that,
not in the bylaws.
no, it is in the bylaws that in good standing and in even clubs are chartered and people are members of those
William,
clubs.
is that, what did you just say a minute ago?
Are you asking William that?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we were just discussing that.
William, go ahead and repeat that.
So in our bylaws under Section 1, Article 3, members, it says individual members within USA Wrestling clubs or individuals in good standing may attain a membership card by paying the annual fee set by and payable to USA Wrestling. And the way that we really interpret that is you have to be in good standing to be a member of the organization. If you're not a member, then you certainly can't serve in the leadership position within, you can't do anything within USA Wrestling
Right.
without a membership of some kind.
Okay, so I have a question for you. I agree with you. I have a question for you. If Kurt has determined that they had a quorum on that day, and they elected somebody who was not a member in good standing, and then we told a young lady who was also not a member in good standing, how could we, with good conscience, allow another election? I'm okay with another election, but I don't think that person should be allowed to run again. Because on the date of the original election, he was not a member in good standing. You only have two choices. You disqualify that person from running for that position, or we re-vote on whatever position Morgan was running for. Because if we don't do that, then we are setting a terrible, terrible precedent and doing a huge disservice to Morgan. And I don't know Morgan. I don't know who she is. I couldn't pick her out from a stranger on the street. I don't even know
If the
who she is.
position was open, Steve, for the position she ran, I would say that's true. But District 3 has their own ability to call a meeting and elect their people. And they have the ability to do that at a tournament. They have the ability to do that on a weekend. They have ability to call that at a special meeting, and they can have that
No.
elected. And
Don't
just
our bylaws,
because he didn't
don't our
have
bylaws,
a card,
don't our bylaws,
just because he didn't have a card does not make him ineligible to be elected at a later date if he has a card.
And I mean, as we sit here right now, every single board member in this meeting right now has the ability to make a motion and overturn Kirk's ruling on this. So if somebody wants to make that motion and call the vote for it, we can do it. Because otherwise, we're just arguing back and forth over this. Because he made his position pretty clear.
Yeah, let me be real clear on it. District 3 has the ability to have their own election again through anytime they want to get together and elect. We have an open position for a freestyle director in that location of our state. and they have the ability to go do that. If there's any motions, please state them now, and let's hear the second. We'll go to a vote. It will take 2/3 of this board to override that decision.
And also keep in mind that if we do decide to rerun that position, the women's director position, we have to call a special body meeting of the entire state, which is
Yeah.
the whole 5 clubs from each deal and at a location and all of that stuff.
Didn't we do
So-
that before the budget last year?
We did.
Did at the Warrior Clash last year.
But it also presents a disservice to the entire body, because obviously not every club in the state's going to show up to the Warrior Clash or wherever else it is. And, you know, I'm not picking on any particular district, but if it were held in District 2, that means there's going to be a hell of a lot more clubs at that meeting than District 1 or District 4. And that can skew a vote. And I just don't think that that's a good way to go.
So
Sure.
right now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
My question is, when does the position have to be filled by?
Well, we got freestyle coming up.
December
after-
1st. The bylaws say December 1st, those positions have to be filled.
Yeah. We had to get the budget done by then too. No, we didn't get the budget done until December 20th last year.
Yeah, it was late.
Yeah. Where's that say that at, William, as far as the positions have to be filled by December 1st at a district level?
Gavin, it does allow you to do electronic meetings as well. And I just, my
No,
preference.
It does not. It does
It
not.
absolutely does. I can pull it up.
It says the board can only do electronic meetings like we're doing.
Kurt is correct. Kurt is correct.
Under
So-
Section 1, Article 4 on corporate board and Clause 2, Subclause B, it says, each district is required to hold a minimum of 1 annual meeting. Copy of the minutes shall be sent to the state chairman by December 1st. Each district will provide the names of their elected directors at the annual meeting of the organization. So really, they were supposed to be done at the annual meeting, but of course they weren't. But you know, in this case, you just have to go with what you have.
Yeah. So you're saying December 1st is the cutoff date?
That's when they're supposed to have their annual meeting. And since this would be basically a special meeting, you could say that it could be in lieu of their regular meeting.
Yeah.
It accomplishes the same thing.
Yeah. Gavin, I think we ought to have that before the end of the year for get that done. Right now, we have 2 issues that I've heard said. One of them was if you want to override my decision on District 3 having a quorum. And then the other one was that District 3 candidate for freestyle director, they can't do anything about that.
Kurt, I got a question real quick on the District 3. Since it's technically considered like an unfilled position currently, is that right?
Yes, sir. It is.
So can the District 3 board not just appoint somebody then?
No, I don't see that in the bylaws.
Yeah, that's what my question was. I
It's
didn't
at the
dig into the
corporate level.
bylaws. I
We
figured
have
someone
that
would know the
ability.
answer. So
We have that ability at the corporate level, but we don't have that ability at the district level.
okay.
And maybe things need to change.
That because the district levels should be a mirror of us essentially.
So just for context, this has been identified by me as one of the issues that we have problems with in our bylaws. So it will be in a proposal for next season to correct some of these things, basically getting the districts to mirror exactly what we do as a corporate board in terms of quorums and elections, and when this stuff it'll all be in there.
Right now, my ruling is that District 3 has an open position and they need to go fill that position.
Can I hold an electronic meeting or not?
No, you cannot. It has to be in person.
And how many do they have to have there for a quorum?
It depends
It'll-
on what Amanda says, that is the, in District 3, how many clubs there is at the time. And let's say it's 50, they need to have 26 there to have a quorum. We will move on if there's no motions that I hear on the floor.
Kurt, can I just verify the wording on that? That the D3 cannot have an electronic meeting for the vote. They has to be in person. It has to have a D3 club quorum the day of that meeting,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
in-person meeting.
That's
And
exactly right.
quorum would need to be verified by the membership director and what the current number of D3 chartered club is as of the day of the meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you for that clarification. We had different rules for the approval of the budget because our quorum for a state body meeting requires that 5 people from each district be there and a total of 40. And we did that last year, improving the budget. That is not the case for a district. They do not have, go ahead.
Can I make a motion that I'm allowed to have a virtual meeting on my District 3 Freestyle Greco director?
Second.
That's not per the bylaws.
As
Takes 2/3 vote, doesn't it?
Correct.
For a bylaw change that has not been submitted by 3/14, for a bylaw change to occur, that has to occur through by submittal to this office or to myself by 3/14, and the body has to approve that.
Produce correct. A bylaw change has to be submitted by
Kurt,
3/14 of the previous year.
This board made all sorts of votes last year via motions that were not allowed through the bylaws. I don't see why we can't do this right now. You might as well make it easy on them, let them have an electronic meeting.
Give us an example.
It doesn't anywhere in the bylaws say that all 4 district directors for men's and women's are supposed to be allowed to go to Fargo or any other event, and that was done last year. That was to benefit me, so I'm not arguing against it, but that's an example. We didn't vote to have a free state tournament last year. That was done.
Yeah, that was illegal on my part. Yes, I agree. But the
We
freestyle was
didn't
not.
vote. The freestyle's not written in the bylaws.
It's not in the
First of all.
bylaws. That's
The
why I
other
would-
one, the
Board made a
other one,
motion.
Well, I would tell you just, I'm not a lawyer, but generally speaking, you can't take a vote to violate a bylaw unless the bylaw themselves specifically states when that can happen. So you're gonna have to be really careful with this one.
Yeah,
And
that's
I think
why.
the other issue is there's nothing that says that there's no specific bylaw that says the meeting has to be in person or electronic. There's nothing in it at all. So
And that
don't
I would
really-
agree with. It specifically states when the corporate board can do, but it doesn't necessarily say anything about what the district can do.
Right. So, I mean, I think if this board votes that they're allowed to have an electronic meeting to establish quorum and get an election done, I don't see why we would have an issue with that.
Because we're kind of picking and choosing, like what bylaws we follow, what bylaws we don't, which ones we hold at this standards, which ones we don't. And that's where we're getting into the gray and not following a straight path.
So
That's
that's
why we're
That's
getting a
where we're getting-
parliamentarian.
that's
And
why
that's
I've
where we're
made that.
getting all the backlash from everybody because it's double standards on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, a virtual meeting is only allowed for the board per the bylaws right now. It specifically says that.
But it doesn't say anything specifically for the district boards. There is nothing in there that says whether the district board can have an electronic meeting or not. It doesn't say anything.
It does not say they can either. It only says the corporate board is the only one.
Which, by the way, is why no district meeting has ever been. No district meeting, right? The district meeting we hold to elect officials has never happened.
So there is a ruling. There is a ruling that says that if I make a decision that in this case says that District 3 should have an in-person meeting and not allowed per virtual, because the corporate board's the only one that can have a virtual meeting, then the only way to override that is to make a motion and override me by 2/3 vote.
I make a motion to override you, Kurt.
Okay.
So
Okay. Mickey, you
Who
got
was the
that down?
second?
Clay.
You mean Kelsey?
Seconded by Clay.
Motion by Gavin to override Kurt's decision.
To have a virtual meeting.
Motion by Gavin to have an electronic meeting.
Okay.
Is that what the motion is?
The motion is to allow Gavin to have a virtual meeting.
Derek, you're getting a lot of background noise.
I hear a bunch of background noise, yeah.
I took care of it.
Thank you. The motion is that Gavin put forward was to have a virtual meeting for District 3 for a one-time only virtual meeting, only this one time. Is that what I heard you say, Gavin?
Correct. One-time
Okay.
allowance.
Okay, to have a virtual meeting in rebuttal to the state chairman's decision of no, that a virtual meeting is not allowed. And that was seconded by who, Clay?
Yeah.
Okay. Any more discussion? If not, let's call the question. Let's vote. I will go down the line to vote. Derek Patterson.
I'm good with it.
Stephen Foster. Stephen, I can't hear you.
Oh my God.
I said no.
No?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Mickey.
No,
Clay.
Yes.
Adam.
Yes.
William.
No.
Nathan.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Gavin.
Yes.
And I don't think anybody else is on. That would be JC, Richard, or Jesse as far as voting members go. That said, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yeses, 1, 2, 3 noes, 9 total, 6 for yes, and 3 for no. We have overrode the chairman in his decision. Gavin, this board says that you can have a virtual meeting to fill the position of freestyle director.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. My God, it's 10:14. Are we ready to stop?
Yes.
Okay,
People, I got to work in the morning.
I hear you. Can I have a motion for adjournment?
Yes.
Who was that?
Adam.
Adam, thank you.
I'll
Who's
second.
second?
But first, Kurt, I've had a couple questions about us passing the new women's weight classes. Are we going to be able to get that information out to clubs? Or do they just need to go look at that bylaw that got passed directly?
Well, I had under my miscellaneous chairman stuff, that was one of the line items that was on there. Okay. But it has gone too far tonight. But
Yep,
we
no
will
problem.
pick this up on the 29th. And when we do the clocks, and I will continue on with my miscellaneous stuff that does include what you're talking about.
Perfect. Thank you.
Who seconded the motion to adjourn?
I did. Nathan.
Nathan.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. We will be back together on the 29th. Thank you.